Alrighty, here we go. 5 o'clock, and it is ready to
Hello,
go.
everybody.
I will. There we
There we
are.
are.
There we
Good.
are. Nice and big in person. So,
How are we all? Good.
how is everyone? We've got a very small crowd today. I don't think I can blame the weather.
No,
But
probably not even the internet.
Yeah. So, nice to see a couple jumping on now. So, let us know if you can hear us. We've got Robert. We've got Damien. We've got Alison. Let us know if you can hear us. Okay.
Peter.
Great. Oh, yep. Good. Thanks for that, Kyle. All right. So I think people can. Hear us. Okay. We're ready to.
Let's get into
probably
this.
ready to rock and roll. So yeah,
Right,
Mick, do you want to kick us off?
Let's get into it. Hello, Hubsters. Good to be here again in this weekly webinar. It's your business growth guru experts here, Caz and Michael Moschetti. Great to be with you again, so we can share this time with you. And speaking of sharing, that's what we want to do again today, isn't it, Caz?
We do. We like to share. Sharing's caring, as they say.
Yeah. We've created the Business Hub for exactly that reason, so we could share some of our expertise and lead you through the Corona and ISO pandemic that seems to be slowly coming to an end. Between Caz,
the pandemic is okay, fair call, yeah.
So between Caz and I, just for everyone on the call, we have more than 50 years' experience in business and finance. So it's fair to say we have a truckload of valuable tips and strategies and tools we want to share with you guys to help you grow your business. We've covered a lot of different topics over the last couple of months, and right now we are focusing on getting you ready for business post the ISO environment. So Caz,
yes,
I'd like to introduce today's topic.
I surely can, but before we do that, I do just want to mention the survey that I sent out to our Hubsters last week. We're just looking at whether we continue this or not. And look, we've got a very small showing today compared to other weeks where we've literally had, 50, 60, 70 people. So maybe this isn't what people are wanting at the moment, or maybe it is, and this is just an odd week. So really important, if you wouldn't mind, it will take you less than a minute to complete the survey. I always make my surveys really, really short, but it just lets us know whether or not we should keep going with these webinars, and if so, in what sort of format. There is literally 4 questions on the survey, only 3 of which are compulsory, and even if you wanted to, you don't even have to have comments. You can just press the items that you want. So the survey will have come from my email address. So if you look for Karen with a C, if you have it, and thank you to all of you who have already sent it back. But to anyone who hasn't sent it back, if you could just have a look and let us know. We will have to, because we've got no other sort of option, if we don't get surveys back, and you don't even have to put your name on it, but if we don't get enough surveys back, we'll assume that those ones that didn't get sent back means that it's not valuable, and we'll pretty much just go on a majority rules for that.
Future format,
yeah. But anyway, let's talk about today. What I want to do today is go into a little bit of science behind some sales, because here's what I know about most business owners. Most business owners hate selling, like with a passion. And so most business owners, let me know in the chat box, by the way, if that's you, if you're somebody who hates selling. It's something that a lot of people feel really uncomfortable with. They find it super icky, and that it's not necessarily what they signed up with. And look, this is a subject I could talk about this for hours, but we've only got 45 minutes. So what I just want to do today is share one particular sales secret. So something strategic that you can take back to your business straight away. So look, I'll just set the scene for a moment. We'll do like a little bit of imagine you're going to that little cloudy place that they do with, and the music that they do on the TV when they're doing a dream sequence or something. So just imagine that you've met with a new potential client or customer, and it's gone really well. You've from everything they've said, you can help them. They seem to be really good to work with. You can provide what it is that they need. But now it's crunch time. All right, it's that point in the meeting where you need to make the sale or get hired, as
Make
we
the
call
switch,
it in the biz.
conversion.
Yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, no matter how you twist it, this is the point where you're asking someone for money. All right. And one of the things that's a bit counterproductive there is that in our culture, we've been taught that talking about money is taboo, right? And so now suddenly we have to talk about money, and it's no wonder we find that uncomfortable. And also, look, nobody likes to be rejected, but this is the point where you're most likely to be rejected. Some of my clients actually talk about how they start to, even before they make the transition. So that's what I call this. It's the transition from talking about what you do and what you offer and how you can help, which is actually quite easy for most people.
Parts, yes.
Yeah. So it's, value, value, value. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and now I've got to ask you for money. Right? So I call it the transition. And some of my clients talk about that coming up to the transition where they start to sweat, their hands go a bit clammy, they're starting to think about it beforehand, so they get distracted. I've even had some clients tell me that they actually start to physically tremble a little bit, shake a little bit with that. Yeah. So up until this point, you've been having a really good conversation, and then you kind of become tongue-tied, and you go from being passionate and authentic to being a bit of a bumbling, to being a bit of a bumbling mess. And I've coined a phrase for this. I call it transition trauma.
Wow.
Yeah, you feel uncomfortable, and then your clients can feel it, and we know they can smell your fear, right? You don't know what to say, you don't know when to say it, and you're kind of winging it. And one thing that I know for sure is winging it is never a good position to be in, because when you're winging it, you're leaving everything to chance. Because at the end of the day, winging it is just another term for unprepared. And it comes across. You can't hide being unprepared. You forget important points and you kick yourself afterwards. You wish, I wish I'd done this. Have you ever done that where you've gone, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd said that? So here's what's happening here is that you have prospects leaving the conversation saying, look, we'll have a think about it.
Classic.
Yeah, we'll get back to you, right? And when that happens, that's kind of a useless meeting, whether it's a phone meeting, whether it's a face-to-face meeting, whether it's a Zoom meeting, because nobody wins then. Because the person you're speaking to needs your services or your product, but you haven't been able to sort of, what do they say, close the sale, if you like, which means actually that nobody wins.
That's right. You don't provide the service and they don't get their problem solved.
That's right, exactly.
And it's funny, we all know the saying, strike while the iron's hot, don't we? And all the research shows that the best time to get hired by a prospect is face-to-face, especially in the first meeting if you can. But so many business owners let their prospects walk out the door with, as you just said, I'll get back to you. Yeah. Or worse, offer to send an email email your prospect the proposal or the quote and wait for the client to get back to you. This adds days, weeks to the process, which can often reduce your conversion as well.
Oh, that's massive, right? Because here's the thing, right? Enthusiasm has a shelf life. Every minute after you've had that conversation with the prospective client or customer, they're starting to lose enthusiasm. Yeah. Also, if you just send out your proposal or your quote, even though that's the more comfortable way to do it, and you can kid yourself like saying, oh, but I like to give them time to think about it. I like to give them time to think about their questions. And that's fine if you want to do that, as long as you're happy with the fact that you will have a lower conversion rate. So if you're comfortable with a lower conversion rate, then go ahead and do that. But also you leave it open to misinterpretation. Whereas if you're going through your proposal with them, you can read their body language, you can answer any questions straight away. Because even though you might say, oh, but they can ask their questions later, it kind of doesn't matter. It's sort of hard to explain, but it's hard to undo what they've already thought. You're sort of coming in backwards. Whereas if you if you can address it straight away, you don't have to worry about that.
And that's a good point. There's nothing technically wrong with doing the quote or the proposal, but research and experience tells us that it's going to really hurt your conversion. I think that's a key point. You've got their interest, now you want to convert more than less because you've already got their interest, done all the hard work. And at the end of the day, conversion is all that counts if you want to grow your business. And I think you're pretty good at useless stats, but I've been reading this one recently.
Don't have useless stats. I have great stats.
And I think if you leave it too long to you've sent your proposal or your quote, if you leave it too long, 44% of your potential clients won't get back to you. They just will not get back to you. So you've got to instigate the communication, and timing it is critical. And you lose almost half of the conversion. But I think
that's a lot of money to leave on the table.
Yeah, just because of the way that you do your transition to the money. But I think a lot of the reasons people don't like talking about money in person, because most business owners I know are terrific at identifying and covering the needs of their potential clients or customers. Find, as you said, that whole transition very difficult and uncomfortable as part of the selling process, don't they?
Yeah, and it's understandable. It wasn't what you necessarily signed up for. So here's another thing that I know. Systems build that confidence. If you have a system for something in your business, it gets easier.
Yeah.
Without doubt, systems build confidence. So why is it that so many business owners don't have a specific system for that transition point in the sales meeting? What I'm always doing is developing systems for business owners, for our own business, but also for the business owners that I work with, because so that it means that you're not winging it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that you are prepared for any situation.
And therefore, if you're not winging it, you're more likely to convert, and therefore all your hard-earned dollars of marketing is
paying off.
Very well spent, isn't it?
And your prospect gets to work with you, so it's a win for them as well.
Providing that service.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll admit that's something you're actually very good at. So let's have a look at the system you've decided to share.
Yeah,
today,
look,
Karen.
I find systems really sexy, right? And so, yeah, look, I will share that system with you now, and it is something that want to be
as part of the Hubsters, we're very keen on sharing our ideas and our templates and our intellectual property, if you like.
Yeah,
because
really
that's
practical.
our commitment to the Hubsters and getting us through Corona, is making sure that what we do today you can start to take away to your business, and it's free, practical, and you can implement straight away.
Yeah.
So
look, this system is all around understanding the 6 key questions that a potential client or customer wants answered from you before they'll do business with you. Okay.
Consciously, meaning they're in there asking them in their head, or they're just asking questions.
Oh, this is the whole thing is often that they won't ask the question, right? So whenever a prospect says to you, "We'll get back to you," right? Or maybe you just simply don't hear from them. What it usually means is that you didn't answer one of these 6 questions, right? Now, it's not always the case. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there's
always exceptions.
Yeah, there's tire kickers or, maybe people who just simply don't want to pay your price.
Yeah, 15%, as you say, shop on price alone.
Yeah.
The other fact is that 85% need more information, or you haven't hit, as Karen says, these 6 questions for them to make an informed decision.
Absolutely, Some things been missed, right? So I'm not saying that the other 85% don't take price into account, but they're not solely shopping on price. And what you said before, Mick, is really important, because most of the time they haven't, if they have felt that one of these questions has been left unanswered, they haven't actually asked you, right? Or they might necessarily not even know consciously that that's what they need to ask. They just know something just didn't gel with them, something got missed for them. Now, many of you already know that I've done a lot of study in human behaviour, and it's one of the things that makes me a little bit unique as a business expert. But human behaviour is something really handy to know if you work with humans, right? Yeah, and so there are just globally, right? So before we even get down to the specific 6 questions they want answered about your business, there are 3 types of questions overall. So the first is they have your prospects, your clients, your customers, they have unknown, unspoken questions. So they have questions that they don't even know to ask, right? Then they have the known spoken questions, which are the questions that they know to ask. Then there are the known unspoken questions, which are that I know I need to ask this, but I just don't, for whatever reason, I'm not going to. I don't feel comfortable asking it. I don't know if I'm going to look like an idiot asking it. So only one of those 3 are questions that your clients or your prospects will actually ask you. There's those other 2 categories that you've got to get in front of them and ask them. So, we really need to get good at answering those questions before they ask them, just
really
in case they don't.
Those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is that we do know what those 6 important questions are that your clients want to answer. Now, of course, there may be other specific questions that they want to know, but these are the ones I know everyone is expecting to be answered. And I'll get to the 6 in a minute, right? Because if you fail to answer even one of these questions in detail, it's highly possible, or highly probable, I should say, that they're going to walk away, right? They'll tell you they're going to get back to you, but really it's just a softer way of saying, don't call us, we'll call you, right? All right, so what are these questions? These are the questions that, as I said, I keep saying this, but not the only questions, but at least these must be answered.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is, and just jot these down. All right. So the first one is, number 1 is, who are you and what do you stand for? So it's a bit of a double header.
Yep.
That one. No, it's 2. Who are you and what do you stand for? Yeah, that's right. So most business owners actually do the who are you pretty badly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Unless they've done earn the right profile, I'd imagine, Karen.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So a few people on the webinar or watching the recording will be familiar with that term, earn the right, but most of you aren't. So let me just say this: when you talk about yourself, you need to relate everything about you and your business to the prospect, right? To the potential customer or client. When you talk about yourself or your business, you need to relate it back to why it's relevant for them, okay? Because if you don't, then what it just ends up sounding like is that you're reading out your resume.
Okay.
And I've got to tell you, as a business owner who employs people, I don't even like reading resumes when I'm recruiting, right? It's boring. So what do you want to, actually, I'm going to ask a question here. And I'll get you to write down in the chat box, see if anybody can come up with the answer. What do people want to hear about? All right. So if they don't want to hear your resume and they think that that's going to be boring, have a guess at what is it that they want to hear about. I'm going to give you a second while we take a little sip of water here. So yeah, this is a good excuse, but just have a stab at what is it that most people want to hear about. Yes, themselves and how you exactly, that you can provide. Yeah, they want to hear about them, right? How are you going to tell me what I need to know, right? Let me know how you can sort my what will your business be able to do for me? So yeah, great stuff, Catherine and Damien and Alison there. So for example, one of the ones that happens all the time is experience, right? Is that people always saying, oh, I've been in business for this long, right? We went past a fish and chip shop today. I was so excited to go out for lunch today, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
All right. I've missed it.
Cafes opened up yesterday.
Yeah, missed it so much. But went past a fish and chip shop that said, we've been going since 2005. And because I'm trained in this, my first instinct with that was, so what, right? Why would I care that you've been going since 2005 as a fish and chip shop? What does that mean for me, right? So if I was to say to you, I've got 26 years experience in the business and finance industry. Big deal. Like, yeah, good on you, Caz. You're a legend, right? Whatever. But
that's what some of the lines are for.
Okay. Oh, are you talking about and wrinkles. Oh, it's not okay, Mick. That's not okay, is it? Right? Oh my gosh.
I've got them, so it's all right. I'm bald.
Yeah, you don't do that to a lady. Anyway, so saying that I've got 26 years experience in business, it's a big so what, right? But if instead I said, I have 26 years experience, that means I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's allowed me to build a blueprint for business growth so that I can be a shortcut to success for business owners just like you.
I see what you're doing there.
Yes,
you're getting the benefits.
That's right. Because otherwise, who cares about my 26 years experience?
It's got to be a benefit to your potential client, isn't it?
Oh, thank you, Catherine, saying that. She said I don't look a day over 30, but I'm going to read it and say and pretend I see it looks there's 20. Right? But yeah, you can see the difference there, right? Now, when it comes to what you stand for, you want to keep this part of that question really simple so that people can relate to it. Because one of the key ingredients that people are looking for these days is what you stand for. Now, that wasn't necessarily the case when I started doing this in the 90s. It was a different focus then. But right now, it definitely comes down to what, if any of you follow Simon Sinek, who's fantastic when it comes to, he's one of my favourites when it comes to business. Now, what he says is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. All right, and that's very much
the why.
Yeah, that's very much what people want to know from you this time. So you want to tell your prospects about the type of people you help, the results or outcomes that you help them achieve. Yeah, and this is where you remember last week we talked about the unique service proposition. So this is where that comes into it as well. All right, so that's the first question that you must answer. When you're meeting with a prospect or a potential client or customer. The second one is what is it that you do? Now, Mick, last week you touched on the fact that most business owners get to a point where they do what they do so expertly that they don't even think about it anymore.
So this is what I refer to as the unconscious confidence.
Yeah, I was really impressed that you remembered that last week.
I'm pretty impressed I've still retained it.
Yeah, so do you remember what the 4 levels are?
There are 4 levels, of course, and I do remember them. So
okay,
I'll give it a crack if that's what
right. Yeah, this is great, especially if you missed it last week.
At least jot down the 4 categories because they're important to understand. The first one is unconscious incompetence.
That's right. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly right. You don't know what you don't know. You don't even realise that you don't know it or you're not good at it. So that's the unconscious incompetence part. The second one, I think, is conscious incompetence. So that's where you know you're no good at it and you know it.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty easy. Third one is conscious competence. So that is where you know you're good at something, but you have to think through it, or you need a process, or you basically have to.
You be conscious.
Yeah, conscious. You're always thinking about it.
Yeah, you've got to bring it to the forefront.
So unconscious incompetence is the first, conscious incompetence, and then you got conscious competence, and I think the unconscious competence
is the 4th level.
Is the 4th level.
Yes.
That's where you're on automatic pilot, let's say.
Yes, yes.
So you don't have to think about it, and you know you're good at it.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. So, and the problem with that one,
yes,
which I think I brought up last week,
you did,
was that you can forget how good you are, or you can forget that your clients don't even know what you know.
Yeah. So you're.
Yeah.
So what level are the clients at then?
They're in unconscious competence.
No. No. They're conscious incompetence.
Sorry, got it wrong way around.
Oh, no, I'm still. So, I'm impressed.
Yeah. So they don't necessarily know what you do unless you tell them.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't know. So you as an accountant, for example, Mick, people know that they don't know what you do necessarily, or how you do things, or what they don't know accounting, right? So you want to be able to tell your prospects in simple terms exactly what you do to solve their problem, right? You want to be able to draw a straight line for them between their problem and how you can, what your product or service does to solve that problem for them.
And you know what Ashley's written there is pretty much the same thing. You don't explain yourself well enough because you know so much you don't realise it.
Yeah.
You just basically
You just
flying through it,
assume.
or a classic is you use abbreviation.
Yeah, or jargon.
Jargon. That's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
So, you assume that people know what you do.
It
And
just reels off.
yeah, so it's really good to operate your business in unconscious competence, but you should always be talking to your clients and your potential clients and customers at conscious competence. So you need to be able to think about it.
And I think that's where you say, behaviour. You've got to bring yourself into that conscious competence when you're in the sales process.
Yeah. Now, if you offer a single service or product, then that's going to be pretty easy. That's all you need to tell them about. But if you have a range of services, then this can be critical to articulate that as well, particularly if you're looking for, if you're in a business where you're looking for a long-term relationship with a particular client or customer, because it also lets them see what's possible for the future. Now, I'm not suggesting you go through and talk about it in detail, but you need to find a way to be able to have some sort of catch-all phrasing to be able to say, and by the way, I know that we're talking about this today, but I just want to draw your attention to the fact that we can also do these things if you need that in the future.
Collateral, those sorts of things you might have with them.
Exactly. So that's telling your clients who you are and what you do. Now, number 3 is, what can I expect from you?
So how does that differ from what you actually do?
Okay, yeah, all right, it does differ, all right? So sorry, I should have said before who you are and what you stand for, what you do, and now we've got this one, which is, what can I expect for you? Now, this is different to what you do, because this is more around how you treat them, right? So the level of service that you're going to offer them, the quality of technical knowledge that you have, or the technicalities of your, advice or your product, the quality of your advice or product, the quality of the way that you're going to look after them, the communication that you're going to have with them, if that's appropriate, and the level of care that you're going to do. Now, again, this is something that people really want to know, and this is why again, this is something that's flipped a lot since I've been in this business over the years, is that it doesn't matter at the moment whether you are a big player or a small player, as long as you meet people's expectations around this, what they can expect from it. You're meeting those expectations.
So I guess what you're telling them is the type of relationship you have.
Yes, that's in a nutshell. Yeah, okay. That's great. Yeah.
So what to expect from it. What's number 4?
The number 4 is, how do you operate? All right, so that's the other question they want to know, because what they're wanting to know there is that you have a process to get them from where they are right now to where they want to be, okay? They want to know that, to use some terminology from earlier, they want to know that you're not winging it. And look, you must be an expert because you have a step-by-step process to help people just like them. You've got to create, everybody has a process, right? It's just articulating it to people that you want to work with you.
Because then you're getting down the unconscious competence, aren't you?
You're bringing it back into conscious competence.
For them to understand why they're going to pay what they're going to pay for how you do it.
Yep. Now, it's important here, they don't want to know the intricacies of what you do, right? So I'm sure if any of you who mix your client, you don't want him to go through all the calculations he does to get the answers.
Right? Sometimes I do if they don't like the answer.
Yeah, that's different. But if we're talking about a potential prospective client, they don't want to hear all that at this point. Really, just what they want to know is that you have a process to look after people just like them and get the results for them. And this can give them a huge confidence and is one of the key areas that's potentially going to get them across the line. If you have a process diagram, that's something that I highly recommend. This is a great time to use it. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more detailed. So again, make sure you've got your pen and paper handy here, because explaining how you operate involves 3 sub-questions, okay, that your prospect is wondering about. And these are ones that they almost certainly won't articulate, right? Okay. So you want to be able to jot these down.
At the start where you said
the known unspoken or the unknown unspoken, right? So they almost certainly won't specifically ask these. So they are, first of all, do you understand my problem? Right?
That's where a lot of people repeat it back to them, so to speak.
Yeah.
They're basically articulating your problem to back to them.
Look, you know, I always say this too, Mick, if you can articulate your target market's problem better than they can, they will almost automatically credit you with the solution, right? So that's a whole other webinar though. They also want to know, can you solve my problem? And then they want to know, how are you going to solve it? So those are the 3 questions. So that final one there again isn't all the intricacies. They just want to know, what's the process that you're going to use to get me from where I am now to where I want to be? And that's, you know, Mick, you mentioned before, if you don't have a process, make one up. Well, that's actually easier. No, but it's easier than it sounds, right? It's just a matter of looking at what your current process is as it stands right now. What is it that you do to get them from A to B, right? You have that process.
Just put it on paper, isn't it?
Well,
basically.
Yeah.
In essence, and that's glorified.
Yeah, well, just to be able to explain it to them, but, you know, keep it as simple as you can, all right? Yeah, so that's probably.
Yeah, so you do want to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, that's right. So I love a process diagram, but if you can just say, okay, so just letting you know, we work with people like you all the time. We have a process. For those of you who are my clients, this is why I always make you name it something, because it gives clients confidence, and then you can give them the steps that you're going to go through together.
Okay.
But, you know, Mick, you mentioned about keeping it simple, and that's because really important, a confused mind won't buy. Right?
You like that one, don't you?
Well, because it's absolutely true, right? I mean, there's so much I could say about that as well, right? Now, working out, I'm just trying to think of what to, I've got stuff here, but I'm just looking at the time as well. So we might, I might skip to the next question, but I guess I wanted to say there again that working out how you operate is, you again want to bring yourself into conscious confidence and just be able to bring that out. And, you know, we want to be able to ask these questions before they ask us, right? So be able to say something like, look, you know, I think it's really important for you to know this is something we do all the time, and we actually have a process for this. So not only do we understand your problem, but we have a process to be able, we've got a way to solve it. Exactly, right? This is just a way to bring it up. Now, that's not going to apply for everybody, but something, you know, think a bit naturally there, something like that.
What's number 5, Karen?
Oh, number 5, now we're getting to the juicy bit. They want to know, what do you charge? Right? Surprise! Don't avoid the fee conversation, right? Your prospects want to know. They want to know. They're eager for you to get to what it is going to cost them, right? And here's the thing. You will never be as cheap as they want you to be. Can anybody want to take a guess in the chat box now, because I needed some more water? How cheap do your clients want, or your prospects want you to be? Your potential clients and customers, how cheap would they like you to be? Anyone want to put a figure in the chat box? Yep, you've got it, Ash. You've got it, Catherine. You've got it, free. Right? So unless you're free,
you're never cheap enough.
You're always going to be more expensive than they were hoping, right? So take that pressure just right off yourself right now, right? Don't try and be as cheap as they want you to be, right? So what you want to tell them at this point is, you want to give them no surprises here. Tell them exactly what it's going to cost them. Even if you can't tell them on the spot, you need to let them know when you're going to be able to tell them. And maybe at that point, you can at least give them a range, right? So to be able to say something like, hey, you know what, for most people in your circumstances, you're going to pay, you know, the minimum you're probably going to be looking at is this. The maximum is going to be this. You're probably going to come somewhere in between, right? So just give them some sort of idea. And look, if you find that uncomfortable, to talk about fees, own it, right? Feel okay to, seriously, I love, if I'm going to do something, if I'm uncomfortable about something, I'll just be honest about it, and I'll address the elephant in the room, right?
If I'm uncomfortable about it.
Well, I'll just call it, right? I'm happy to address the elephant in the room. You know, I do that when I'm speaking as well. Like if I'm on the stage and I know that there's going to be, people are going to be waiting for the sale, or they're going to be waiting for something, I want to get that over and done with first up, right? So you might say something like, you know, okay, Bill and Barb, this is the moment you've been waiting for, right? What does this, you're probably wondering, what does this all cost? They're never going to say, no, I didn't want to know that, right? You're going, when you say that, they're going to go, yeah, I do actually.
Sitting there for 5 minutes wondering what you're going to tell me.
Yes. And so then you might even want to say something like, well, you know, I want to be upfront and tell you that it's probably more than what you want, because let's be honest, we'd all prefer to pay lower fees if we had the choice, but we're pretty proud of our value for money. So I'd like to walk you through that now, if that's okay. So just own it, right? And that can be a really nice, classy way to introduce fees. Just lay it out there, nice and neat. But you do want to be crystal clear, because surprises is something that people really don't like. And if there's any miscommunication, even if they were the ones who misunderstood, you're going to be the one on the back foot.
Yeah, it's always.
Yeah, you've got to take it, right? Yeah, that's right. So, and again, if you if you have different packages or fee models, be really clear on how this works, and be sure to talk to them about any terms and conditions, but try and avoid making your terms and conditions. This is something I was talking with a client about actually yesterday. You want to avoid making your terms and conditions too legalese, because it'll become a barrier. When people see that, they start to think, oh, maybe
What's
this
wrong?
is exactly, maybe this is riskier than I thought it would be. Right.
All right. So does that bring us to our final question, Karen? What your potential clients or customers want answered? And I think it's around what level of commitment will you make as a business owner?
Yes.
And I'm going to stab it as a guess and go, it's probably around guarantees, because you're very passionate about guarantees.
I am. So if we're looking at this final question of what commitment will you make, it's really about, if I'm going to give you my money, what can I expect you to commit to? And one of the best ways to do this is a guarantee. If you don't have a guarantee, and that doesn't have to be an obvious guarantee, maybe we'll do a session on a webinar on this, but you're missing actually a huge marketing opportunity if you don't have a guarantee in place. Another option is terms and conditions, or I call it terms of service, but again, don't make it a barrier. I personally like, if it's appropriate for your type of business, a joint commitment statement. And that's what I use in my business, because that sets out what you'll do for them, but also anything you need them to commit to for the process to be able to work. All right, so they're the 6 questions that you need to answer for your potential customers or clients before they'll feel comfortable working with you. They're not the only questions. Of course, they're going to have questions about your products, your services, and you guys have probably been doing it long enough to know those. But these are they are the main questions. All right. So
I'm going to jump in, because people watching are probably thinking, well, I answer those questions pretty good anyway. But I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a moment and challenge you to really, how well do you answer those questions? So you really address all these questions, which we've got some questions about. We'll recap, and we'll do that shortly. Do you address them every time? I think that's critical, because as you said, systems build confidence. So if you don't have a process, I doubt you're answering them every time. Do you address them in a logical order that's clear and doesn't have any way of confusing your potential customers or clients?
Yeah.
And do you go into the level of detail that they need to know and to have confidence in answering those questions? And more importantly, I think this is a critical one, because what do you say? You say, if you can
articulate their problem before they do, they'll credit you with a solution.
So this is the key one. And you do answer all those questions. Do you answer those questions before they even ask them? I think that's critical, because people are very impressed when you can answer questions before they ask, especially when they didn't even know to ask it in some cases.
Yeah, and well, they'll appreciate you and think that you're being honest. If that's the case too, they'll think, oh, okay, that these people must be good, because they're going to tell me that before I've even needed to ask, and it's going to make them feel more comfortable with you. So I'm going to give you a quiz now, because Damien has asked if we can recap the questions. I had a feeling that's what you were doing. You knew I was going to do that, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm not ready for that.
You know me very well. All right, so Mitch, do you remember
the 6 questions.
What's number 1?
Who are you and what do you stand
Very good. Who are you and what do you stand for? And what's number 2?
What do you do?
That's great. Yep.
Number 3 will be, what can I expect from you?
Yeah.
We might put this on the Hubsters.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Yep,
too,
yep.
as a thing.
Yep.
How do you operate?
Number 4. Yep.
Number 5 will be
the important one.
Yes, the elephant in the room. What do you charge?
Yep. And number 6
is don't know.
The commitment. What commitment?
What level of commitment to guarantee
for you?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
There you go.
Yeah, very impressive. No notes at all on that.
No.
Liar.
All right. So I hope that recaps the questions well, but we will do something on the Officers page. So,
hopefully that's been valuable.
Yeah, I hope it's been very valuable about increasing your conversions and answering those questions your potential clients do ask and sometimes don't ask even. So I'd really encourage people to watch the webinars, and not just watch the webinars, sorry, but really take that next step and implement.
Implementation is what counts.
And that's exactly right, because there's no point spending 45 minutes with us without implementing anything. And as most of you know, Karen is a business growth expert. This is what she does, and it's for breakfast.
I do.
But you may not know is she does get results for her clients, from micro businesses right through to large corporations like MYOB, which we've worked for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And is highly sought after. So I think that's the thing. So she can work with micro right through to large corporations. In fact, at times she's had a waiting list of clients wanting to work with her. So my point is, you get this stuff for free as a result of COVID. So implement. Take the opportunity, if you've got some time as a result of COVID and you're perhaps working from home, to implement, and don't waste the opportunity.
I was thinking where you were going. I was thinking you were being very lovely, but that is a really good point. Look, I have got, for your reassurance, I have a lot of experience in this area. I am very results driven. My reputation is all around results. So you're getting this for free. Just, take advantage of it. Use me.
Yeah, and that's important. There's a lot of templates and processes and procedures we can adapt to help you through any of these questions, from sales right through to anything. So just in closing, if you do have any questions about today or anything else you'd like to pick our brain about, please jump onto the Facebook group. As you can see, Karen's the more sales process one, I'm the more analytical one. So that's where we come in yin and yang, we work well. It is a closed group, that Facebook page. So I encourage, we'd love to hear from the Hubsters just to really get the most value out of this group. And as Karen mentioned off the top, don't forget to answer the short survey, 4 questions. Quick and easy, and can help us deliver value to you. Yeah, and it's going to tell us whether we even continue with it or not. So, if you haven't already, we'd really encourage you. And look, if you want to say no, I don't find it valuable, that's okay. You don't even have to. No, you don't even have to put your name on it, right? That's right. We're pretty thick-skinned. So. That just about does it. Yeah. So have a great week, everybody. And we look forward to chatting with you again very soon. Thank you. Thanks for that, Damien. I'm glad you really enjoyed today. So, you know what? Can I ask you a favour, Damien? Would you jump across to the Facebook page? Oh no, you're not on Facebook, are you? Well, I'm gonna put something on there and say Damien said you have to watch it because it's some good tips. So, all right.
Have a good week. Thank you. That's good. That's fine, Damien. I remembered that.
It's because you don't vote for Richmond.
Yeah, but anyone, if you were on today and you are on Facebook, it'd be really great if you could maybe put something on Facebook to say that you got something of value from today, to encourage people to at least watch the recording, because we didn't get a big turn up today, which is unusual. And obviously, if we don't get the turn up, we won't do the webinars. We'll try and look for something else if this isn't what's getting people value. So, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Have a good rest of the week.
Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you very soon. Take care, guys. Bye.